Thank you, everyone. I think after the opening session, good to be back again. I think we just finished an interesting session talking about the need for digitalization and how all kinds of organizations are, uh, 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 you know, uh, opening up to the idea, whether you are a banking organization, whether you are a pharma, whether you are a retail. I think the fact that you need to be abreast with digitalization and hence make those investments is pretty clear to everyone. So today, and moving on from that, I think today's theme is unemployed India is not a free India. And I think a pandemic has exposed some of our underlying conditions as a country. There is a lot of disruption that has happened in the world of jobs and livelihoods. The vulnerable section of our society, and especially the informal workers, casual workers, or lower rung, less skilled workers, have been exposed, are feeling very vulnerable in the current situation. We've seen what has happened because of reverse migration. I mean, people are panicking about reverse migration, that people are going back, but I think the question that needs to be asked is that, or rather the realization we all need to have is that, why did they have to leave their towns and villages in the first place? And why could they not work there? And why could they not find a job of dignity? But yes, those are broader questions. Today I have an extremely, let me say, I mean, not-for-profit, not-for-profit sector per se needs very high level of self-motivation, honestly, to work for. And given the compelling need otherwise to work for the profits sector, and hence high regards and huge respect for those who are tirelessly working towards making a change in the social landscape. We have Mr. Virat Tandon, who is the Group CEO of MullenLowe Lintas. We have Mr. Amalkiran, founder of Upskill Bharath, and we have Ms. Aanchal Jain, Director of Tech Mahindra Foundation. Welcome all of you. So I'd like to start with you, Virat. I mean, can you please share, first, some opening remarks on today's conversations and deliberation, and then we'll come on to the real questions that I had for you guys.
Yeah. So I am happy to be on this panel today to talk about this important subject. I represent MullenLowe Lintas Group. We are actually an advertising agency, and I think today's topic, is really close to my heart. And we discovered when in the first few weeks of the lockdown, when migrant workers were going back, everyone saw it, and I mean, up to even my bosses in US and UK, and they were, so everyone knew what was going on, and we wanted to help. And if those people, I mean, such huge, there are about, I think, close to 120 million to 130 million blue collar workers, and if these workers don't have livelihood, then how are they? How can we call ourselves a free country? So that really pains us. And being an ad agency, not being actually in the space itself of helping, but we just couldn't help ourselves, because we are all interconnected at the end of the day. So if we don't help them, they don't earn, and businesses don't go back fully. They don't open up fully. If the businesses don't open up fully, our clients don't spend on advertising, and then we get affected. So it's like we're all interconnected, and we just rather than waiting as bystanders, we just thought that we should do something about it. So that's what we did. We'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Thank you. I mean, Amal, can I bring you in? What are your thoughts about today's conversations and any opening remarks?
Yeah, very good morning to one and all. Myself, Amalkiran, representing Upskill Bharath. Thank you for inviting me into this great forum. So currently, this pandemic hit not only India, across around 200 countries. The social and economic fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic continues, and the government and many organizations around the world grapple with this crisis. and we have a this real devastating effect, and we are all enduring much suffering. But we believe with a collective association and work, we can definitely combat this crisis. As an Upskill Bharath, we are into skill development space, and many of our trainers and employees are do not have work right now. They are facing the crisis, but however, we stood by them for over 3 months, and we are still trying to motivate them, and we are expecting some hope. And we started many rehabilitation centers, and also for sanitizing workers and different government employees, when we started distributing food and masks, and when they are working outside. And this is from our side, and that's all from my end.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amal. Aanchal, let me bring you in.
Yes. So I can just start by introducing myself. I work for Tech Mahindra, and I had their skill development as a part of the CSR. And sure, of course, after the pandemic hit, there were a lot of things that we as a skill development focused CSR had to rethink of. To take your first question about reverse migration, personally, I think that it is in some ways good for the people, because it will start to bring in a new order, and it will start to put focus on quality of jobs. And we can discuss that as we go along in the debate and discussion. Secondly, when it comes to really skill development, we have seen that we've had to relook at how we have been doing skill development, and clearly we will have to change some of the ways in which we do skill development currently to what we will be doing in the future. So that's what I would like to say at the start.
Perfect. So thank you. So let's just get on with the real questions and specific ones that I had. One, of course, is, and Virat, I think we will follow the same cycle. So Virat, coming on to you, how are not-for-profit organizations looking at the current situation, and what role are the organizations playing to support both from healthcare perspective as well as helping people come out of the situation? So from your perspective, I mean, it's fascinating that given the kind of organization you represent, to come out with this kind of an initiative and foundation is brilliant. So what are your perspective?
So we are not a classical not-for-profit organization, though this initiative that we have started is not-for-profit.
Yes.
And we do work with the other not-for-profit organizations off and on, from sexual health to family planning to other themes. On this particular initiative, which is kamvapsi.com, our effort, it's in 2 phases. There is an immediate crisis that we set ourselves as the first task to solve, which is to bring the migrant workers on a platform, on an online platform, and to put up jobs, to bring employers on that platform and to match the workers to the jobs. And because we are an agency which works with large corporates, we thought about actually creating a cooperative sort of a structure, rather than one company, single-handedly trying to do, this is too massive a job, too massive a task. So we reached out to some of our clients and colleagues from, companies that were like-minded, like Z Network and Bharath Airtel and Radio City and Axis Bank. And there are many more, we're talking to you guys, we're talking to TeamLease and many more that we are talking to. And I think we need the power of the cooperative to really solve this issue. It's too large. And so that is phase 1, to really solve the emergency, bring those people, give them jobs. The other, which is the slightly longer term, maybe phase 2, is how do we really, now that, we've never focused on this segment of workers, they've always been kind of invisible. And now that we've seen and we've kind of discovered what their lives and challenges in life are, how can we use this platform over time to actually improve their lives, to improve their potential of earning or of upskilling, or even the bargaining power that they may have versus the employer, ethical hiring. So there are a lot, and as we are working on this platform, we are discovering that there's so much that needs to be done. So that's really where we are setting our eyes, and we are in the true spirit of cooperativism. We are really open to anyone who is like-minded, wants to join hands, wants to help over time. So that's how we are looking at it, actually.
Sure. Thank you so much, Virat. I think it's for everyone who is on this call. If you think that you would like to support Virat's initiative, and not just Virat. I mean, what Amal is doing, Aanchal is doing, I'm sure all of them have a lot of available resources who they would like to deploy. Like as TeamLease, we are working with all of them as partners, and but I think we ourselves alone may not be able to support the kind of databases or kind of aggregation that they have done of vulnerable workers. But if all of us can pitch in, I'm sure we'll be able to do this better. Yes, Amal, your perspective, what specifically are you doing to kind of support the people that you have, whether it's in terms of their healthcare? How are you trying to, I know it's very difficult. I know it's a very difficult situation, but what's going on in your mind, and what all are you looking to do?
See, in this pandemic situation, we closely seen how the devastating it is in the people's lives. And we believed, even though we were in skill development space, we believed dance skilling existence is the main thing. So we started, pooling funds and trying to help the migrants. And also our trainers, we tried to get some money from, we took the money from others and helped them, supporting them every month. And also we started something innovative thing, like we associated with one manufacturing industry of this face mask. We called it face shields. We associated and we manufactured it, and we distributed among these sanitized workers, and we also distributed to the government hospitals of our Andhra Pradesh. And we tried to get some money, and with that money we gave it to the needy people, in the street people, and these migrant workers. And one more thing, what we did, like we took the volunteers of volunteer help, like students who are who have worked for all these years, we have trained all these people. They came forward. With those people, we helped the government to distribute the masks as a volunteers. And what all we can do from our Upskill Bharath, we did all this. We're looking forward. This will definitely end somehow.
Okay, great. Aanchal, what's going on? I mean, yours is a very well-known foundation. You've been doing a lot of work around skilling, upskilling. What are you doing now? Because I'm sure some of those kids that you've placed in the past or were placed are coming back to you, and hence, how are you looking at keeping them engaged, looking at how do you take care of their health care requirements? Anything that you can throw light on for us?
Sure. So yes, of course, we have also earlier as a foundation, we were just focused on skilling, which basically means that we would take in youth from the age group of 18 to 24 typically. But what we have done post-COVID is that we've really mapped the youth, and what we do see is, we saw earlier on in April, is that we need to reskill and upskill, and also look at multi-skilling. So in the communities that we are, because we are spread across 11 cities, and we have about 100 skill development centers in the urban poor communities, we did a mapping, and we realized that a lot of our old students have lost their jobs. So we looked at upskilling them. If there were job opportunities in the existing profession, or looked at multi-skilling them. And that clearly has opened up a lot of doors. That's one. Secondly, I think the opportunity that we have seen that has come out of this pandemic is that we as a foundation are now able to extend our training to basically everywhere in India. So Madhya Pradesh was not a part of our, we don't have a physical center there, but we do see that a lot of the students have, because of doing everything online, they're actually able to take advantage of the training. And a lot of our NGO partners have connects in the smaller 2-tier or 3-tier cities where they're able to do placements. So that has been actually an opportunity for us, and we've really been able to make more of an impact and reach out to people who really need the training and the jobs. So I see that as something that's really good, and maybe in the future we will continue to use a blended learning approach of learning instead of just in classroom in order to, strengthen our impact.
Sure. I think you kind of gave me the cue to what was playing in my mind. It is that, everyone has been impacted with pandemic. I don't think there is anybody out there in India or across the world who can say that their life has remained unchanged. And for you in your respective organizations, I'm sure there has been changes. So, Virat, I understand that the entire concept that you have come out with is a I think reaction to the changes around. But if you were to look at, if you were to make a prediction in terms of what are the stuff that this space of skilling, or people who are engaged in upskilling and the not-profit segment, what are the stuff that you think for sure people will have to change in the way they've been going about doing their business? Like, for example, Aanchal just mentioned that the entire mix of how people or the youth who are getting trained has started to shift. What do you think? What are the other things that are likely to change in this particular environment, in this particular space? Virat, please do unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm saying that it's important to look at developing an ecosystem, rather than just, one-off, so far maybe on upskilling, we used a classroom approach. But if you put together an ecosystem, then I think there are more opportunities, for these people to constantly keep not just getting upskilled, but also sometimes, you pick up a new skill and you go to work with it, and then you get stuck somewhere. So the ecosystem will help them reach out to peers and, help get some help on troubleshooting and stuff like that. So I think that developing an online ecosystem, and this pandemic has actually, I think, pushed people further into the digital space, and it's inevitable that everyone will be using their mobile and the network much more. They are much more on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and any platform that can help them. And I believe that the economic motivation can be a huge motivation to adopt digital platforms. Exactly. when your livelihood depends on it, and that you will gain directly by being part of an ecosystem, I think the digital platforms will really open up, and really make the pace of upskilling quite fast. So that's what I think lies in the future.
Sure. Amal, I need, before actually I go to Amal, I'd like to request all the attendees that if you have any questions, please start raising those questions in the Q&A tab. And right towards the end, we would like to take all those, as many as we can. I can't promise we'll take all of them, as many as we can. Amal, what's the change that you have done, given that, or what are the changes that you think will be permanent in the space that you occupy, where you will be forced to doing things, or you've already started doing things differently from the past? I mean, can you share some of those changes that you are likely to do now? Because there are different restrictions now. There are concerns about safety, there are concerns about mobility, there is social distancing. So what are those things that you are likely to change?
See, like I told you right before, we closely worked with skill development space, but we are not into conventional skill development. We are into like more of into innovative methods we implemented. We started training also, not in conventional training, but we went with experiential learning and activity-based learning. And that too, like we started with the training pedagogies of different great theories of 21st century skills, and we emulated them and we designed our own curriculum. And by this, what we did, we implemented this in 50 plus colleges. We closely work with student and college fraternity across Andhra Pradesh. And we got a very good results. And out of 21st century skills, what I told you, we finally extracted the skills of students in the form of traits. We gave a trait card. So, like you are all people are from different backgrounds of employers who look for an all-round development employee or a person who to work with your organization. With the 10 minutes of discussion in front of an HR, you can find the knowledge levels, but not the character. So what we did, we gave different challenges to students with our activity-based learning, and we recorded the traits throughout a year, and we gave it to the HR at the end of the academic year, along with their academic results. Say, for example, if the candidate gets 70%, along with that, we gave this person has this much critical thinking. This person is good at creativity. This person is good at communication. These are the traits we recorded, where by that the employer got very good person than only the person who have normal knowledge and also the complete personality. I mean to say, definitely he will be a part of the good progress of their organization, not only in the knowledge levels, but also in the different complete progress. You will be part of this, part of your organization. In that way, we did like a lot of innovative things, and we also introduced like knowledge societies in the colleges. By this program, what we did, we pooled different students from different colleges, the like-minded people. We take them to the IIT, IIMs, the creamy organizations of India, right? We claim that. So we try to make them emulate their best practices, and also we make them understand how they are following everything, and we will try to make them to interact with those people, because our students, whom we deal with are local people, like village background. They don't have much exposure. So we create a platform for these people to talk with the higher people or higher knowledge level people. Thereby they try to emulate them, and also they get some knowledge by which they will come to back to their college, and they will try to implement the best practices. So we got very successful feedback from the students and also from the institutions. Okay, these are the things we do. And we also did more of programs, different programs like cultural ambassador programs, where we invite different college cultural people and also eminent personalities to the colleges, and we make them create workshops, and maybe make them students use feedback, and all these things we do. And as madam recently gave the information, like this pandemic situation really created some space to upgrade ourselves. Okay, and we definitely should take these challenges into positive note, and we should definitely develop the digital classes, be digital classes, or like taking interviews from digitalization. This definitely will come, because need is the mother of invention, because you don't have an option now. Obviously you have to follow this, and definitely you will be forced to adapt this trend.
Great, excellent. I think given that given that our agenda is essentially all of us deliberate around how do we two things essentially. How do we get people back to work, and how do we get the people, the vulnerable section, or the guys or the girls who are the kids, youth, whoever have suddenly found themselves without a job, how do we get them back into the workforce? Some of them have lost jobs because of redundancy. Some of them have lost jobs because the sectors that they were deployed, essentially, they have collapsed in all possible ways. Some of them have lost, I mean, and the redundancy issue is essentially a skill issue. Essentially, what they were used to doing, now that job is no more relevant in the current scheme of things. So two questions I have around this. One is that, are you now, like for example, lifestyle retail, like this is an experience that I have within TeamLease. Lifestyle retail, we have customers, they had thousands of stores across the country. Suddenly there is no work for these people. That skill, that work, that profile, and that profile is not just redundant in that company, it's redundant across the industry. So have any one of you, and it's a broad question, any one of you can come in and respond that, have any one of you thought about how do you reskill and refit these people? Is that something you guys are thinking about? That how can I get this retail store attendant suddenly ready for a warehouse job, because that's where the jobs are? Is that something that's playing in your mind? That's one question, and I'm going to ask the second as well. Have you started relooking at your sectors and segments? You obviously, when you started your organization, you had a hypothesis that these are the kind of jobs where maximum demand is, or these, pardon the aircraft. It's always good to hear aircrafts these days, right? At least somebody is flying. But anyway, so I guess, which sectors right now have you shifted your focus? Which means the jobs which you were earlier hiring for, the outbound jobs, they have shrunk. And hence, are you trying to put some hypothesis that, no, now I'm going to look at these segments and look at diverting these kids only? And if they are, what are those segments? So these are two questions. Whoever wants to go first can go with that.
So let me say that, I'm not really very deeply involved. Very recently started work, but the kind of response that we are seeing on Kaam Vapsi, so a lot more interest from the, for jobs like the delivery boys or delivery girls, because of the pandemic, people are really, ordering stuff home, and that is clear indicator that more than 50% of the jobs that are being posted, and it's early days. I mean, but based on that, that is one indication, and therefore, whatever is required in terms of skill or in terms of resource. So these people require a two-wheeler ownership. They require the person to have a mobile phone. So those will then, not really too much upskilling or reskilling, but I think it's one kind of outcome of the pandemic, where the demand for jobs is there. Also working with many clients over, different sectors, from retail to FMCG to various sectors. The other thing is that definitely knowledge of being able to manage online systems. Even the sales people in companies are really starting to use now online systems or on their mobiles. So they have to learn how to really use those systems. Their job, some part of the job may be same, but some of the job may require them to really be very proficient with online applications, whether it's retail sales. So some sales are going in terms of virtual sales. If you are to make sales virtually, then how do you manage those platforms? So those are two very basic kind of thoughts.
Sorry, Aanchal.
Yeah. So for us, more than about 30% of the youth that we train or we skill we do training in the retail space. So we, we were compelled to think about this earlier on. And what we have done successfully, I can say, is that we have looked at sales in a more broader perspective and really tried to put that into a capsule of e-commerce, warehousing. Of course, like Virat mentioned, there we do see a surge in delivery boy jobs, but that's not really aspirational. That's a stopgap in order to really, more with respect to having an income. So something is better than nothing. However, what we did do is that we started to give them top-up skills where the jobs lie. So we did see that e-commerce was one big, warehousing. For example, if we look at fulfillment centers, they need packers, they need attendants. So that is the second. And the third sector where we did sort of, did do top up for our retail courses was, ITS and BPO. So we did see that even currently, there are a lot of job opportunities that lie in that sector. And of course, there is a certain amount of communication skills enhancement that one needed to do. So instead of changing the entire course, we did do top-ups and aligned ourselves to the industry very closely to understand where the jobs lie and what skills are needed in order for the youth to get these jobs. And we have seen that from June, there has been a higher intake of hiring vis-a-vis up till May, till the time we really made this change. So that's what we have seen.
Excellent. Amal, do you have any thoughts on this? That have the sectors, industries changed for you? Are you looking at different kinds of jobs, and how are you getting these kids ready for these jobs? Because suddenly the syllabus has changed.
Yes. No, the situation has come like everyone thinks everyone will be more focused on dignity of labor. So even though you get trained for some good job, but the situation made you to think of survival. There are many people like this, many students whose background is very poor, and they definitely want to take a job for the bread and butter. Okay, so for them, the emerging sectors like now pharma is really very good. There is many opportunities, and also like delivery is also one of the things that is really good. And these things, they have to avail the opportunity, and they should not think the otherwise, and they should get the opportunity whatever that is there, and they should try to I don't say it's a heat of situation, but they try to suffice their requirement with the the available jobs that are in the market, because this is temporary, right? We have that hope. So once the things sprout up, situation comes normal, we will definitely, if you have that skill, and if you are really fit for that, we will get a good opportunity. From my point of view, whatever it is there, we have to grab that opportunity and go for survival.
Absolutely, goes without saying. I think our job is better than no job, clearly. So we have to go with whatever is available right now, and we need to counsel and advise these youth that in the right direction, because now is probably not the right time to look at aspiration. It's important. It's not saying it's not important.
Actually, one more point I want to put forward. A recent survey by IPS, like Indian Psychiatric Society, found a steep rise in the number of patients suffering from mental illness after this outbreak virus.
Right.
So lockdown have a massive impact on the lifestyle of the people.
Right.
Okay. So as NGOs or a profit or non-profit, whatever the organization, if you get an opportunity, we should try to stand by them and motivate them. If possible, we should help them to come out of the situation.
Oh, absolutely. I think the sense of anxiety that is caused because of you're not sure about your life.
Exactly.
You're not sure about what's going to happen. You're not sure about your job. I think it is definitely difficult times. But having said that, I think I'm conscious about the time. And we do have questions coming up, but it's the norm with most of my session. I do put my panelists through a rapid fire round. I'll ask you 4 questions. I would request you to respond in yes or no, or with a number or a percentage, so that to make it as snappy as possible. And do tell me what first comes to your mind. And that's the fun of this rapid fire round. So we all know that in the world where we live with the pandemic, there is no right or wrong answer. I mean, we're just making guesses. So the first question, Virat, is that in your opinion, what is the percentage of migrant workforce that has been impacted by COVID? Honestly, I mean, just take a guess. 70%.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think migrant workforce will come back to their previous jobs? And if yes, time horizon, by when?
I think sooner than later, because they need money, they need jobs. While a lot of conversation about finding employment for them in the village or in the hometown are there, and they're good, but I think it'll take time for that to really take off. So I think in the short term, they will have to come back.
Excellent. Do you think organization will start hiring more local workforce now that there is a lull? And I can tell you that I've noticed this lull in Bangalore, and I'm sure other cities are also noticing it. And what's your assessment? I mean, again, yes, no, a number.
I think 2 things are going to happen. They may hire more local people as well. But I think what I'm hearing is also that the employers are actually becoming more responsible, and they actually want to give better living conditions, better options, better schemes to the migrant workers. And maybe even some people are talking about cutting out the contractors in between, the middlemen, because that's where they get shortchanged, the workers get shortchanged. So employers are directly wanting to do more for migrant workers, and I think that is very encouraging.
Excellent. Though it's fluttered my heart for a while, but I hope those contractors doesn't include us.
No, not at all. I meant the fly-by-night.
Good. Thank you so much. What percentage of learning and skilling will be adopted digitally for the blue-collar workforce?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
What percentage of learning and skilling, will be adopted digitally for the blue-collar workforce? I mean, we touched upon it a little bit, but do you think we have a sense that how much of it will completely move online or to digital tools?
I think it's difficult to put a percentage, Ritu, but I think there is going to be a trend, and I think it will keep rising. So it's going to start with hybrid, and I think then maybe even completely move online for some sectors, for maybe manufacturing related sectors where you need on-machine experience and stuff like that. You'll still have a hybrid thing, but I think, like I said, I think the ecosystem, an online digital ecosystem will emerge. That's what I'm betting on.
Thank you. I think, Amal, I'm going to move on to you, ask the same questions. In your opinion, what is the percentage of migrant workforce that has been impacted by COVID?
It's up to 70%, 70 to 80%.
Wow. Do you think migrant workers will come back into their previous jobs? And if so, by when?
Definitely they will come back. They're also looking for this positive in a positive aspect. Definitely they will come back. Once the situation suffice, definitely they will come back immediately, because that is the only work they know. They can't go with any other alternative.
Okay. Do you think organizations will start hiring more local workforce right now?
Yeah, because maybe true, because even government policies are also giving pressurizing to have more locals in the local industries, and that policies and also even employers also may show interest. That may happen because that is evident. We are going to see in future.
Sure. So the next question is, what percentage of learning and skilling will be adopted digitally for the blue collar workforce?
See, this, as I told you earlier, the pandemic situation, made everyone have to upgrade. Okay, yeah. And we have to upgrade, because if not, the things will not. We will be definitely outdated. So there will be around 70%,
Sure.
upgradation, digitalization should happen. Even because even government is making policy framework in making the digitalizing teaching and everything. Okay, and we also participate in DDGK and PMVK projects. We got a policy framework asking us to go with the only digital classroom teaching, not for time being, for going forward also, because
Sure.
it is a cost cutting and also easy for reach remote places for students.
Sure. I mean, there's a reason why I'm asking this question, because some realities confront us now. For example, my driver, he actually, because I was telling him about what's happening, so he has 2 sons back in his village. He was saying that while all of us are talking about how everybody needs to move digital, the point is that the access to having a laptop in those villages or a mobile through which they can do these things. And secondly, are the institutes or even the colleges that they are going to equipped uniformly? Look, sometimes we try to visualize the world from the lens of what's happening in the cities. But has that, all of this, like everybody has a mobile phone, of course, understood. But the transmission of information, sharing of information, that's the reason why I'm asking all of you this question.
Yeah,
just to give you a background.
Yeah, you put forward the beautiful point. There are definitely, backlogs of this particular digitalization, because there are students where they don't even have network and TVs even now. There are very remote places where we worked recently.
Sure.
Before this pandemic.
Yeah.
There are drawbacks, but it's somewhere we should start. I think this is the good start now.
Excellent. Aanchal, I'm bringing in Aanchal because Aanchal has to leave. She has another session. Aanchal, quickly, I'm going to ask you the first one. What percentage of migrant workers that have been impacted by COVID in your mind?
70 to 80%. For sure.
All of you are consistent about this.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think migrant workforce will come back to their previous jobs? And if yes, by when? I mean, please give me a time period. I would love to hear a time period.
I don't think that they will come back to the same jobs.
Okay.
And by when? I think maybe 6 to 8 months, because I just feel that by then they would have dried up of their savings and they would be forced to work, unless and until the government does something. And there is a lot of talk about developing rural economy. So if that is to happen, then that dynamic would change.
Sure. So do you think organization will start hiring more local workforce?
If they come back, no, because there is a bigger cost to hiring local.
Absolutely.
And which does not make business sense. And, you and me both know that there is cost, and also the local workforce is more aware. So it is harder to actually, negotiate downward with them. So I think that if they do come back, they will not hire local.
Sure. I obviously have a broader reason why I asked this question, but I'll finish with all your questions before I come to that. What percentage of learning and skilling will be adopted digitally for the lower skilled, blue-collared workforce? I mean, not all blue-collared workforce are lower skilled, I know that, but what do you think?
30% probably, because I think that it is harder to penetrate that, the blue collar workforce with respect to actually comprehending and, applying those skills in their jobs digitally. I can be honest by saying that it took me some time to even adapt to, Zoom and Google Meet. So specifically with respect to blue collar, because there is quite a substantial percentage of physical work as well. And that to acquire digitally is quite tough. So I would go with blended learning approach, 30% digitally and 70% still in the traditional classroom methodology that we worked with earlier.
Sure. I think, thanks so much, Aanchal, for joining us. If you want to leave at this point for your other one, please feel free to.
Yes, please.
And
thank you.
Thank you again. The questions that I have right now are largely very I find them very broad in the horizon of recruitment. And if either one of you would want to respond to them, great. Otherwise, I would take on some of these questions one-on-one. But I think some of the questions are, what is the future for people who don't have money and jobs right now? This is for skilled professionals and not labor or workers. I don't know in today's world if anyone is better. I mean, yes, I think formal workers are definitely better off than informal workers. But yes, anyone wants to respond to that?
That's a tough one, but I think I think in some way micro entrepreneurship might be a good way.
Yeah.
So that is something that our Prime Minister has been encouraging as well. And I think that seems like, you don't really wait for, you don't have to wait for a job. And I know people, not just right now, but even before, sometimes you get laid off or you lose a job and then you keep waiting for the right job. You keep waiting. And then, you've lost too much time.
Yeah.
And I think it's better to get into something on your own so that, at least, you have a livelihood and you're gainfully employed. You're not just waiting. You're gainfully employed, and once you start bringing your skills to that, whatever that enterprise is, it will give you results. So it's a bit philosophical answer, but
I understand that. I understand totally. I think most of the questions that have been asked, the rest of the questions, they're all great questions, is that each question itself calls for a webinar like this. For example, the question on what is the future of recruitment, trust me, right now, it seems to me like a coin toss because we don't really know how things will be. But for example, perm hiring or permanent hiring across organizations is already like either non-existent or happening in bits and pieces. What is the role of leadership teams, leaders, etc.? I think those across organization in terms of dealing with the pandemic, again, these are broader subjects and we would love to dwell on them, but they all call for a separate session. And at TeamLease, we are having these sessions to answer precisely these questions. Some of them will be answered through the day, through the various other events that we have chalked out for you, or just wait for the Tuesday webinars, 11 to 12. We do discuss some of these issues. So thank you all for joining in. Thank you, Virat. And thank you also, Amal, to have you. I think you guys are doing a great job. One from Virat, you from a digital point of view, the kind of, it's a creative innovation that you have come with to kind of put together, aggregate what's going on. And Amal, I think yours is a dial tone. You've been at it, and I'm sure you will be at it to help these youth to kind of skill them and also give them appropriate channels of livelihood. So thank you so much, Virat. I saw the Buddhism behind you, which means you
practice?
Yes, I am a practicing Buddhist as well. So
fantastic.
So I saw that and my eye was on it throughout. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Let's stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Nice talking to you.
Bye. Thank you. Nice talking to you.